Hello again, folks. We're back with another episode of Cryptic Cuts. And today we're going to be looking at 28 years later, something that has been so anticipated. We've been waiting a long time for this one.
That's right. We have been waiting a long time for this one. And why? Because it's a part of one of our favorite movie series. For me, as a huge zombie fan, this right here brings a whole new meaning to the term rage zombie. Now, if you don't know what a rage zombie is, go ahead and stick around, watch this video with us, but let us tell you, we are going to be spoiling some stuff. So if that is not your cup of tea, go ahead, turn us off now. But before you do, give us a like, give us a follow, watch 28 years later. And then when you do, come back, watch the show, because we're going to be talking about a lot of interesting things that happened during the movie, and a lot of interesting things that we think are going to happen.
And again, don't want it spoiled, don't watch. But we got to get into it because this was really good. The internet has questions, and honestly, we got questions. And I think we got some answers.
I think that there were a lot of critics on this movie. I think a lot of people had opinions, like they always do, because everybody's a critic these days, including ourselves. But if you like this series, if you like Rage Zombies, if you like Danny Boyle, if you like the film style, if you're a fan of all the little nuance that goes into making this such a special series and now trilogy, then go ahead, stick around. We're going to be chatting about it.
And get ready to get into the review of 28 years later.
Now, it's on the tail end of its run in theaters, but you know, we had to go ahead and catch it on the big screen, on the silver screen. We literally just got back from the movie theater as we try to go out and watch these things, come right back here and give you guys the freshest take that we possibly can give you. And that being said, I really like the movie. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, just start off there. I really like the movie.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. I feel like it was an ode to the movies prior. It was beautiful. It was emotional. It's everything that you would want out of a 28 movie. It's anxiety inducing. It takes a lot to kind of ruffle our feathers a little bit, so to say. I can feel it when we're both tensed in the theater. And so is everybody else, which is why I think there were a lot of mixed reviews about the movie. And sometimes a lot of people don't understand, or that are new into getting into horror movies, you might feel that way because the movie is working. It's doing what it's supposed to do.
I think that it did exactly what it was supposed to do. I was hearing a lot of reviews about this movie being disjointed or a little bit hard to follow. I don't think it was hard to follow at all. I think that those really choppy cutscenes, especially within the action or within the beginning of the movie, putting together a montage of war scenes combined with the, affliction and the zombies and them taking over. There's a new regime, there's a new fascism that's afoot. And not only from the zombie side of them pretty much just taking over the world and having an iron grip on how people live their lives and if they can live, and typically don't because they get eaten alive, but also how the humans live at this point, because we are 28 years later after the infection. And this movie takes place on a little isle that's protected, insulated from the outbreak. And the only thing protecting them is this little causeway that when the tide comes up protects them, and when the tide goes down, they can cross it and go to the mainland, they can forage, they can look for fuel, wood, but they also have to fight the hordes of zombies that are out there.
So it's still an uphill battle. That hasn't stopped. That's definitely on the agenda for the entire movie. And Alex, you said something that really caught my eye and my ear when I was watching the movie about it having a fantasy element to it a little bit because it's shot in such a beautiful, gorgeous, rural place. We're gonna get into that a little later.
Yeah, Craig, I'm happy that you brought that up. I do think that it had a heavy fantasy element into it. The world has changed so drastically since the original outbreak. When you're in this isolated community in a world where there really is no normality, these people are completely by themselves. All they know is that they're trying to keep what little sense of humanity that they have left. But it seems that that's kind of being pulled together through like an iron grip, which they don't really explain too much. We see certain symbolism and iconography that would allude to the population at this time on the island being a pseudo-religious cult / fascist regime, but at the same time, they don't really go into the storytelling or the backlogging behind what this community really is, but they do allude to the fact that they themselves are a part of a quarantine zone that seems to be the entire UK, Ireland, and Scotland. They do this by a nice wide shot of the ocean and there being a boat just sailing, and then one of the characters says, it must be the French or this or that. Later on in the movie, we come to find out exactly who it is.
Yeah, the movie is very layered. It's layered and it's clear, and then some parts aren't clear. And I think that's where a lot of the questions came up. Is Cillian Murphy in the movie was a very big question on the internet. And I can say they showed us something that looked like it could have been Cillian Murphy, and they are for sure doing more. So what if? I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, they basically showed us somebody that looked like an emaciated Thomas Shelby from Peaky Blinders with a little like comb over and in the little fade. So yeah, at that point we were kind of like, maybe it could be Cillian Murphy. But as far as that question, we don't really have an answer for that. But what we can say is we do know that Cillian Murphy was an executive producer on this movie. So he has an involvement, a heavy hand in how the trilogy and how the entire franchise is going to go forward. And not to spoil the spoiler, I guess, go ahead and spoil it, but we definitely think that there's going to be a lot more movies that are going to come out and explain exactly what the world is like post-apocalypse, or the rapture, if you will, and that's what one of the characters says in the movie. Before we kind of get too off topic, I do want to discuss one of the things that we were curious about, and I know that the internet was curious about too. What was going on with the zombie baby? What's the deal with that? Because I mean, I was wondering myself, like, was she pregnant and then got infected?
It was very odd to see a pregnant rage zombie.
Yeah, not only a pregnant rage zombie, but one that literally gave birth and had like a full-on Le Mans moment with a human being.
Yeah, I gotta say, if they were trying to shock and appall, they definitely did that. As we're getting into the movie, we're talking about it. The baby seems to not be infected. So the mystery layers just keep piling on.
I saw a lot of chatter about what is going to happen with this little zombie baby. What's going to happen with that baby? You want to see what happens with this.
Yeah.
I mean, I have really no idea in my mind's eye what is going to happen. We have this kid, Spike, who went in, decided to go ahead, take his mom out for a gallivant to go see the doctor, Dr. Ralph Fiennes.
Which really caught me off guard. Of course, when you see Ralph Fiennes on the screen, you're just like, oh man, there he is. He's doing the thing again. And he's, once again, phenomenal actor. And Spike, kid, crushed the role. Really, really draws you in.
Yeah.
And I think that was a very important part about this movie, was that the acting was chef's kiss.
It really was. The acting was top notch. And when we saw the movie posters, when you see the previews, they're really selling you Aaron Taylor Johnson. They're not really selling you Ralph Fiennes very much. I mean, we kind of get a glimpse of him. They're teasing Cillian Murphy. Is he going to be in it? But they don't really talk about this young child. This kid absolutely crushed it. I mean, he held the movie really, really strongly. I feel like it must have been intense because obviously this is not a child's movie. So he on set is going to have to deal with a lot of stress and intensity coming from other actors who are adults getting in his face. You know, it's going to be tough, and he did a fantastic job. I was definitely into his character. The arc of Spike's character was just awesome to watch, which I think just really set up the whole new iteration of the movie. And I think we're kind of going to see that idea of like where Walking Dead went, which I know like you weren't a big Walking Dead fan, but Walking Dead definitely started to go into this space in the story where the zombies become a little bit second nature to what the world and what the interactions with other encampments and humans would be like at that time. There's been an establishment of human settlements around, but now there's a fight for the resources. If I had to put a guess and or hypothesis out there on where the series is going to go, that would be my guess.
Yeah, from the looks of it, the end of the movie, when we have these break-dancing, gold jewelry wearing, very blonde Scottish zombie hunters, which was sickening to watch. It was choreographed. It was very cool.
It was.
But I'm like, where are these dudes in jumpsuits and tracksuits killing zombies and like doing it with pizzazz? Like that was
right. It was like gold chains and velour.
He
and
had a
just
little
murder
calf in
of
his
zombies.
tooth, and that was pretty amazing. And I think they're just setting you up for a whole new world. With a whole new world comes new territory for everything. The characters, the scenery, the setting was a little different. But another thing I wanted to get into, the evolution of the rage zombie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. As this movie originally came out 28 days later. Once again, if you haven't seen it, go ahead and watch it because this is the original prototype, the OG start of the rage zombie. We hadn't seen anything like it before when the original movie came out. I mean, it was just on another level of intensity in the movie theater. People were losing it. They come out. I remember people walking out of the movie theater. It was like a whole thing.
If you look at George A. Romero, you look at Night of the Living Dead, you look at Dawn of the Dead, you look at Resident Evil, a lot of people had seen a bunch of different kind of zombies. And we'd seen a quick zombie, we'd seen a zombie pick it up and move at a pretty crazy pace, but we had never seen something so aggressive. That's what really caught everybody, and the way you get infected and how you can get infected and how fast you turn. Sometimes you watch a zombie movie and it takes somebody like what? You're looking at maybe 6-7 hours to turn. That's a whole process. That's a whole work shift. But the rage zombies, you can potentially just get a small little drop of blood around the corner of your eye. You're looking at 15 seconds and you're turning, and you're an absolute menace. So I know they said, okay, if we took these creatures and made them so popular, made them so huge, made something that was not really done before on such a large scale, then how are we going to transform this and make it better? What I loved was to see an evolutionary process. Now you have these crawler zombies that are heavyweight and they're just on the ground and they eat whatever is on the ground. Then you have the regular zombies, but now they've managed to get inside of packs. And of course, we gotta talk about the alpha.
The alpha zombies, yes. They were absolutely terrifying. Not to mention intelligent, but also freakishly large and aggressive and strong. They remind me of the Berserkers.
Yeah!
You know, in Attack on Titan, like they're very much that, like just run full speed into something. Their whole thing is just destruction and murder and rampage.
Another question that was very popular online was, how are they still alive and moving? Well, now they're in a rural area. It seems like these things have been feasting on just animals and they have pack mentality.
Like all their hair was long like mine. You know, they all were very pubied out, very body hair situation. We just have to talk about it. We gotta address it. There was an extreme use of full frontal nudity in this movie that I think might have just skewed people's opinion on whether they like this movie or not. Let's just be honest about it. I think that a lot of people, they were like, it wasn't just for me. I just didn't like it because, there was just a lot of like that. Like that happening, a lot of like running and like, that kind of vibe. That is what it is. I mean, that's what you'd be seeing. Not to mention, I know it probably pissed a lot of Americans off. They weren't, if you know what I mean.
And being so shocked by people running around naked. They're zombies in the forest. It is what it is. Now, I will say, we can't get into too much craziness, but the one zombie that everybody was so thrilled talking about, yes, that was crazy. There was a little while for that. But all in all, it made sense.
And talking it out in real time with you, I'm kind of getting a sense that the alphas might be reproducing.
It would kind of make sense. Now, here's a little 28 years later conspiracy that I'm coming up in my head with right now. And I'm going to just hit you with it. Okay, what if the pregnant zombie was already a rage zombie and the alpha zombie is already a rage zombie because he's a very specific type? And what if they are doing like mating ritualistic things or whatever to get the hit? And what if she got pregnant and that kind of cancels it out and that's why the baby came out not infected?
Right.
What if?
This could be like a whole underworld werewolf lichen situation where they start doing the breeding thing and they get something crazy.
Yeah, y'all, they definitely set us up for more movies. And the way this was done, how well it was done. An aspect that people asked, was it shot on iPhones? And there was a lot of iPhone usage in the movie. I think it felt a little bit more real for me because I'll record videos on my phone and you kind of catch that vibe in certain shots in the movie. So very well thought out, very detailed, and I can't wait for more if that's what they're gonna do, and I think they set us up for that.
There were those really amazing, classic, gritty shots in the 28 series, and it just gave you that kind of fuzzed out look that we all know. Right now, we all know what the video of an iPhone looks like. Our brains and our eyes have been tuned to that look. It seems very natural to our eye at this point. And I know they use that for a lot of the atmosphere, a lot of the wide shots, a lot of these like voyeur shots, a lot of hiding camera shots. Speaking of cell phones, the use of one of the characters was pretty freaking awesome. So, in the story, as the kid is going through his journey with his mom, they run into a soldier who lost his entire team to the zombies, just absolutely destroying them. And the one straggler meets up with the kid Spike and his mom, and he ends up being a Swedish soldier. He kind of is your ground, if you will. He brings you back to understanding that the quarantine zone in this movie is quite literally in a bubble. The UK are quite literally detached from the rest of the world. And when this soldier comes in, he's got guns, he's got modern equipment, he's got flashlights, he's got a cell phone, and it works. As he tries to journey with his family, he's starting to talk about what his life is at home. And he's saying that his buddy's an Uber driver and life is very normal. He'd be sitting in traffic if he weren't a soldier out in the quarantine zone killing zombies. I think it's just really interesting that the world is quite literally continuing around this quarantine zone. It was pretty shocking to feel that like the rest of the world had gotten over the affliction, like that the craziness that we had seen in the previous movies like actually didn't really go much further than the UK. But in the UK, it is still a massive problem and they're dealing with it and they don't even know what's happening in the outside world, which I was like, brought that tension, that isolationism that just made the movie just so much more extreme, which I really loved.
The kid's like, Uber? What? A phone? He's like, what's that?
Yeah. And I mean, they were quite literally telling you too that that's what the patrols were for. They were like almost to just smoke anybody that was trying to get off the island because when the soldier came on, he was saying that if you step a foot on the island, then you're not getting off. Like you were there forever. So they definitely had a lot to deal with. Yeah, before we go ahead and give the people our scare score, what are you thinking?
So I went in with not a lot of crazy expectations, but when you have the people that are originally doing something from jump doing it over again, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna go, we need to put out the product that we know is going to be the best. And I think they crushed it. It was such a nice continuation and they're just setting you up for fully a universe. I'm eager to see where they go with it and I loved it. The shots were great. The cinematography was beautiful. The view of like all these gorgeous shots of like water and creek, and it makes you forget for a second, oh, look how beautiful that is. There are creatures running about.
Yeah, it kind of ticked all the boxes for me too, as far as like a zombie movie, but also a dystopian futuristic movie. Thank you, Danny Boyle, once again for making it happen. Thank you to the cast and crew. For all the movies that we're going to be reviewing on Cryptic Cuts, we are going to go ahead and issue them a scare score. And that score is going to be on a scale between 1 and 10. So 10 obviously being the best, 1 being the worst. And for this movie, I had to go ahead and give it a scare score of a 7 out of 10.
It's so funny because you know what, Alex? I gave this a 7 out of 10 as well.
Just can't wait to see what comes next. We're really grateful to all the fans that have already started to join and follow our community. If you've made it this long through the video, please give it a like and a subscribe. That way you can, go ahead and see more of what we're doing and, get into it with us.
Because if you're here watching, you like scary movies like we like scary movies.
And we will see you on the next video.
Deuces.